Hello guys, how are you doing? This is a small tutorial to show you how to use animation rigging to customize animations with movements of body parts. Gonna start by setting up a scene so we can demonstrate the animation rigging. I've added the starter package by importing it. And after you've done so, you can find it over here. There is a sample scene inside that we're going to use. So let's open it. And this scene contains a character that's walking around. But it's walking kind of slow. So let's change it a little bit. Let's increase the speed for running and for sprinting. And let's check. Yeah, this is much better. But now you see that the animation of the sprinting is always used. So we're gonna go to the animator and open the idle walk or run blend. And then we're gonna change the properties. We're gonna set the threshold of running to 20 and the one for walking to 10. Now you can see that the robot is walking again, and when you press the sprint button he's running. So that's working. There's one problem still, that the legs don't move fast enough when he's walking. We can simply change the speed of the animation by clicking the idle walk or run blend and changing the speed, for example doubling it. Okay, this is fine for now. So let's change this robot into something a bit more interesting. I've downloaded this character from Mixamo, and we're gonna open the player armature, and you can find the mesh inside this geometry game objects. So let's just add our Mixamo character, and let's just delete this mesh. We still need to extract the textures. And now we need to change the avatar as well, because otherwise the character won't be animated. You can see that it's now like this. So we need to change this avatar over here. So we've created an avatar of this model, and we can set that avatar so now we got a guy running. Now let's suppose this is gonna be a basketball game. So we're gonna add a basketball. Let's scale it a little bit. Something like this. And also let's add a rigid body so we can apply physics to it. And also let's add a collider, sphere collider. So now we can use this as a ball. So let's let's create a prefab out of that. Let's call this PF basketball. And now let's make this basketball player be able to throw the ball. I've downloaded an animation for that. So it's this one. This guy is throwing something. It could be a ball. So this is a rigged humanoid. That's fine. So we're gonna add this animation. We're gonna create a new animation layer. Let's call this throwing or something. And then let's add the animation to it. Now in order to play the throwing animation, we're gonna add a script over here. It's called player, and it takes the prefab and also a ball in hand position. That's gonna be this one. So this is a position at the right hand of the player, and this is gonna be the position where the ball will be. So the ball will follow this right hand, and during the animation the ball will stay in the hand of the player. In the beginning the basketball will not have applied physics to it. We achieve that by setting the rigid body to be kinematic and don't use gravity. In the input system, I've added an extra action by clicking this plus. This action is called throw, and it's binded to the left mouse button. It's a button action, and because I defined this in my script, I can refer to this onThrow method, and this method will be automatically called as soon as somebody clicks the left mouse button. So what we do then is we instantiate one of those ball prefabs. We're gonna make sure it's in the right position. Actually, that doesn't really matter because we set the parent to be the ball in hand position that we just defined over here. And then we set the layer weight of the throwing animation to 1, so that will override the default layer. So because this is set to override. And then we also set the animation to the beginning, so it will start from the beginning every time. We set a release time and a throw animation time. You could do this in many different ways, but this is just a timer that runs out, and as soon as it runs out, the ball is released. The animation itself plays a little bit longer, so I've defined a separate timer for that, and that timer will just set the layer weight of the animation, the throwing animation, back to 0. And the releasing, during the releasing we make the ball kinematic and make him use gravity, and then we can use the physics engine to apply force to the ball so that it will just shoot away. We also set the parent to null, so it's no longer parented to the hand, so it shoots in the proper direction. So it looks like this. You can walk around and throw a ball A new ball is instantiated every time, so you can throw as many as you like. And so far so good. Only now, if we want to have the player walking around with the ball, we can achieve that by putting a ball at the ball in hand position. We should put it to the position 0. So now the player is walking around with the ball, but you can see it doesn't look really natural. It looks kind of stupid. He's just swinging the ball around with one hand. And what we actually want to do is to have this player hold the ball with both hands, but we still want to play that animation, that walk, run and idle blend animation that you see over here. So if the player is jumping, we will see those feet jumping as well, and that together with the ball in the hand. That's where animation rigging comes in. In order to use animation rigging, we need to add the package Now we go to our player, and there is this option animation rigging, and you can choose rig setup. This will automatically create a rig over here, and also a rig builder over here, which uses this rig. Now if we go to this rig object, we can add an empty game object. Let's call it ball in hand left, and also let's create a second one called ball in hand right. Now inside this game object, we're gonna add a two-bone IK constraint. IK stands for inverse kinematics, and this is a way of making the animation move in the direction that we specify. Therefore we need to specify a tip where we want to move to, and also some bones higher up in the structure that will also move along with the tip. So the tip is in our case the left hand, and then we can use the auto setup to specify the other joints that also should be moving, like the elbow and the shoulder. So you can see this is the target, and there is also a hint, and together they decide where the animation should move to, and it will move by using these three joints. So you can find these over here, but I will move them to be inside the hand as well. And now we can do the same for the second hand. So we're going to use the right hand as a tip. And also move these two over here. So now that everything's set up, we can go to the player and preview the animation. But we see now we get a warning over here. It says the child rig 1 is not a child in the animator hierarchy. If you look over here, you will see that an animator has been created, but we already have our own animator over here. So that's because we use that rig setup button over here. So it has created an animator for us, but actually we can just remove this one, but we can also move the rig into this hierarchy. Okay, so now let's use the preview button over here and move the targets. You can see that the hand is moving towards the target. I've placed this basketball object over here. This is just a fake object. It doesn't have a rigid body or collider, but we will use that just during the running as part of the animation, and it will then be replaced by the basketball that we spawn, which has some rigid body and colliders. So now it's just a bit of fiddling to get the proper position of the hands. Also, let's involve the second hand, right hand. We can rotate. So this is already looking much better. So now don't forget, because we are in preview mode, it doesn't save the positions. So I'm gonna take this ball in left hand target, and let's just make this a little bit better first. Okay, something like this. So now I'm gonna copy the position and rotation. So I'm gonna copy the component, because as soon as we start to disable preview, for example by running the game, then we will lose that position. And now I'm gonna put it back by pasting the values. So now it's good. If we now enable the animation again, the preview, you see that this left hand is in the proper position, but this right hand position wasn't stored. So we need to do that one again, and that time also copy the component values. So let's do that quickly. Yeah, I think this is fine. Okay, so copy the component, and now if we disable preview, we can then paste back the component values. Now if we run the game, you will see that the IK is applied, and the arms are bent, but you immediately see a next problem. The hands are still moving. That's because the animation, the walk, run, jump, blend, it's still using animation to move the hands. We don't want that. Therefore, we can create an avatar mask. So let's create an avatar mask. The name doesn't really matter. And let's open the mask. We are using the humanoid, so we can just use this one, and we can now deselect the parts that we don't want to be animated by the animation. So once that's done, you can simply add it to the layer over here, and then we say IK pass. So we will still do the IK, but not the movement of the arms from the animation itself. You now see that there appears an exclamation mark over here. We can actually not disable the animation on the base layer, but there's an easy solution for that. We just add a new layer, let's call it base, and let's call this one walking or something. And now we can use the mask. So then we can run the game again, and you see that it's working. The ball is now in the hands, and as soon as we throw it, a different ball is instantiated, and that one is having physics. If the hands are not rigged properly after you've applied the mask, you can just adjust them like this. Let's go to the left hand and right hand target and move it into the proper position. And again, then you need to, once you found the proper position, you need to copy the values because we are in runtime, and then paste them back in as soon as we are in design time. So if we take a look at the script, I've changed it a little bit now. I've added this ball for walking object that we are using as like a dummy object just to add to the animation over here. And then I've also added a bit of torque to make the ball rotate in the air, just for good looking. And then we have we're now using the layer number 2 because there's an extra layer in between now. And yeah, that's it. So this is the final script, and you can see that with this small script and the animation rigging, we can already create some good results for a base of creating a basketball game. Okay, that's it. Have fun rigging your own animations and take care.